Welcome back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Britt Cooper. Our woke justice system is just so backwards. I've done so many stories now where women have just gotten away scot-free for some of the most outrageous acts. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that chow time.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. So there are a lot of scary things about the Biden administration, in my opinion. You know, the economy, the sniffing children, Kamala, just in general, her laugh, everything about her. But to me, the scariest part of the Biden administration and the modern left in general is the way that they exploit the justice system. Because the justice system in our country right now is no longer about justice.
Yes.
It is about politics and political gain and sending a message to the other side. We talked about this last week when we discussed Taylor Swift's stalker and how
This is why I don't really care to be political. I don't want to be political. It's not my thing. But I care about the justice system and how it's kind of screwing men over, and just the way that the parties are using the justice system as a pawn to get what they want. I'm upset about that.
how he was arrested multiple times and immediately released back onto the streets, even though he is obviously a threat because, they prioritize criminals. They prioritize mental health and rehabilitation rather than getting dangerous people off the street, because that is what they care about. They don't care about the safety of their citizens. They care about that. And sadly, this type of behavior in prioritizing criminals and not actually seeking justice has become incredibly common across the country. And today, I think we have the grossest example of this corrupt and flawed system that I've ever seen, and the hypocrisy that follows it. We're gonna talk about that today. Before we do, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you've not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section upload. All right, so 2 months ago, we all sat here and we talked about the congressional staffer and the gay sex scandal that he was involved in. And if you missed that, good for you, because I would not wish viewing that video on anyone, not even my worst enemy. But basically, a young congressional staffer filmed themselves having sex in one of the Senate hearing rooms. Horrifying video, horrifying pictures, again, don't recommend. The staffer, who is gay, resigned, and then he said that he was being attacked for his sexuality and who he loved, that this was a baseless attack, all because of his sexuality. Of course, I called it in the video. And when I did my episode on that, I also said, just watch. They won't go after him. They won't charge him. They wouldn't dare, because of what he said in his statement, because this is an attack on his sexuality. And guess what? They didn't go after him. And that news broke last night. This is from Forbes. Police won't charge staffer allegedly featured an explicit Senate video. They closed the case. Nothing to see here. Here's their statement. For now, we are closing the investigation into the facts and circumstances surrounding a sex video that was recorded inside of the Hart Senate's office building the morning of Wednesday, December 13th. After consulting with federal and local prosecutors, as well as doing a comprehensive investigation and review of possible charges, it was determined that despite a likely violation of congressional policy, there is currently no evidence that a crime was committed. Although
This is very similar to the Ezra Miller thing. You know, a lot of people do not like the guy. I watched The Flash. It was an okay movie. I wasn't upset about it or anything. But he did some pretty outrageous things in public, with caught on camera. But because he's a non-binary person, his movie was still able to go out. He was not charged with anything. But when you look at someone like Johnny Depp or something like that, he got accused and all these things. But because he's just a normal straight male, he gets thrown in the book. But anybody that has any type of trans, any type of LGBT connection, all they have to use is that card, in a sense, and everybody just backs the fuck off.
the hearing room was not open to the public at the time the congressional staffer involved had access to the room. The two people of interest were not cooperative, nor were the elements of any possible crimes met. The congressional staffer, who has since resigned from his job, exercised his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and refuse to talk to us. Our investigators are willing to review new evidence should any come to light. Oh, they didn't cooperate. We couldn't do anything. He didn't speak. We can't go after him. Oh no, he might have broken congressional policy, but we don't know. So they're not charging him, because he technically had access to the room, so he wasn't trespassing. And maybe, possibly, he broke congressional policy, but they're not sure about that. Great. I'm so glad that you're so confident about what this congressional policy is. That makes me feel really great.
When there's no cops around, anything's legal.
Some people online were saying that even though they would like him to...
Remember, I just did that one article of the woman stabbing her boyfriend 108 times. And she got away with it. Probation. Like women and LGBTQ, trans people and all those are such a protected class of people. It's crazy. It's so crazy how the law bends for these people.
to be charged, but then a George Washington University law professor jumped in and said no, he could have been charged based on DC's code that covers lewd and indecent behavior. But of course, the Capitol Police did not look into that. They didn't want to touch that. Guaranteed that they are simply too afraid to charge him because of the potential aftermath, the blow up that could happen, the accusations that they are, profiling and attacking gay people for just expressing themselves in public, because that's literally what he already did. He got ahead of them and said, you are doing this because you're bigoted, because I'm just expressing myself and who I love. I mean, it's laughable, but not shocking. Somebody commented and said they're setting some great standards now, Capitol Police. So true. And this tweet made an excellent point. He said, no charges for cocaine in the White House. No charges for filming gay sex in a Senate hearing room. Remember, this is the party that vowed to bring back decency and dignity back to Washington after some mean tweets. And a lot of people hit on that. Something decency is on the ballot. Another person said, man, all that decency that was promised. Yeah, you'll remember that tweet from Jill during the election? Decency is on the ballot. How'd that work out for you, Jill? Is decency actually in your White House? Does anybody actually still believe that? Like Jimmy Fallon on his show, saying Joe Biden is bringing class back to the White House.
Here he is. He's bringing class back. He's a classy guy, and you're bringing class back to the office. And I thought it was amazing that you did that.
Really? You actually believe that? I hope people do not. Like, I cannot tell you how grateful I am that my loved ones know that that does not exist anymore, that we are all on the same page. And if there's one thing that is important to me, it is the people that I love. And thanks to my friends at Pure Talk, they are not only beating today's inflation, but they're making it easier to connect with those important people in your life. Additional 50% off your friends, and make sure they don't think the decency is still in the White House. Okay, now at the beginning, I mentioned how this story would be a gross example of hypocrisy in our justice system. And I don't just mean the people who walked through the Capitol on January 6th, were put in solitary confinement for over a year and have now been charged for years and years in federal prison. I was actually thinking of something even more recent. Like how a small group of pro-lifers was found guilty by Biden's DOJ for peacefully protesting outside of a Nashville abortion clinic. Greg Price broke this story, and he said, breaking, 6 pro-life activists were just found guilty in federal court after being prosecuted by Biden's DOJ under the FACE Act for protesting outside of a Nashville abortion clinic. Here's a snippet of the protest, which occurred on March 5th, 2021. For the crime of praying and singing hymns, these 6 activists now face a maximum of 11 years in prison. I cannot.
This is upsetting because we have the right to protest. We should have the right to protest. We shouldn't be, just because we protest and do something, we shouldn't be thrown in jail. That's how the country was founded on. So now that the government is just cracking down on anything that people don't want to do, or people want to do, but it's against what they want, now you're just going to jail them. This is a pretty totalitarian type government going on right here.
Not explain to you the rage that this story fills me with. It is completely and utterly absurd. If you have been paying attention for the last 4 years for what people get off easy, for what people are arrested, this should enrage you. Where were the guilty verdicts for the people who were setting the Portland City Hall on fire, who ran through Chicago looting stores and setting cars on fire? But this?
Stop! You violated the law.
Watch this video. This apparently deserves 11 years in prison.
I'm a big fan of peaceful, non-violent, non-destructive protests, and this is what this is. They weren't blocking streets. They weren't running around cussing at people. They were just singing and, standing there or sitting there.
So they're sitting in front of the door, they're praying and they're singing. 6 of them. Then soon after, the FBI showed up to their homes, forcibly removed them, while their significant others and their families watched, and they were charged by the DOJ.
What kind of Gestapo type freaking euphoria or dystopia are we in right now, to where people can protest like this and all of a sudden FBI comes into your house and just takes you away? What the fuck?
FBI showed up to their house because of this. And you honestly just can't make this stuff up anymore. Somebody commented and said, block a road? Nothing. Block a doorway? 11 years. I genuinely hate this country. Another person said, so they can protest where it's mostly peaceful, but when we do it, we get treated like terrorists. Are you just learning that? Because that's been happening for a while. Remember when moms protesting at school board meetings were put on a domestic terrorist list? None of this is new. They hate us.
I really want to touch on this, on how things are going, is because this is how men's issues get treated. This is how men's channels get treated. We just get destroyed. We don't get to even, do anything. As soon as we're in the blip of their radar, they'll send FBIs to us, or they'll contact YouTube and shut our channels down and things like that. Why? It's because we're saying things that they don't agree with, or they don't want other people to hear what we're saying to all the other men. If most men listen to these types of channels and didn't get married, didn't want to be in the system of how they mistreat men and just, the divorce system and everything, men are just going to leave the country. And when men leave en masse, it's going to be a big problem for this country.
Yes. And they do not even hide it. Matt Walsh said, the Biden administration is the most corrupt and evil regime to ever run this country. If those tyrannical pieces of shit get another 4 years, they will ramp up their political persecution, and there's a very good chance it'll be knocking on your front door before long.
I'm going to jail!
He's not wrong.
Yeah, again, I'm not for one side or the other. I'm just going through the facts and going through the motions here, just like you guys. I'm not a fan.
But I also love Spicy Matt. I appreciate it. He also made this excellent and incredibly infuriating point, and he said this is incredible. The U.S. attorney prosecuting the pro-life activists who were just convicted and face 11 years in prison for peacefully protesting outside of a clinic actually argued in court that there is no such thing as a nonviolent crime. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is currently in the process of releasing hundreds of criminals from prison on the basis that their crimes were nonviolent. They are making legal arguments totally arbitrarily depending on the politics of the situation. Full-on Soviet-style corruption and persecution. And
Fucking exactly. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And men get the blunt of this. Almost all court type freaking cases. Exactly just like the last video I did 108 times. To do this 108 times on someone. Oh my God. And they only get 2 years of probation? No jail time? Nothing? You don't even have to owe the family any money or anything? Like, that is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Like, there's no more dicks. There's dickless now. It's just ridiculous. God damn.
that is what I meant when I said at the beginning that the justice system is no longer about justice. It is no longer about objective truth and trying to find the truth. No,
It is not.
about sending a message to people that they hate. This lawyer, her exact line was, something is not peaceful if laws are broken. Again, okay, I ask, are you comfortable saying that the BLM riots were not mostly peaceful? I'll wait, because I doubt you'll acknowledge that. And I know that we say this all the time, but we truly live in the upside down because criminals are treated with kid gloves. Lewd and indecent people having sex in a Senate hearing room are let off and even celebrated for their bravery and their bold sexuality. Violent protesters are turned into martyrs. But concerned moms speaking up at a school board meeting, oh no, they're domestic terrorists. Fighting back in self-defense in a blue city, you are the violent one and we're gonna charge you. Praying and literally peacefully protesting, which is an American right. Oh no, you will get arrested by the FBI and charged by the DOJ. It does not make sense. We can make jokes about this administration all the time because they are a laughingstock, but this is serious. This is not freedom, and it is certainly not justice. Voting has consequences. Rolling over and letting them walk all over us for years until this point has consequences. And we are watching this happen in real time. Well, guys, I hope you liked this episode. Make sure that you like this video.
That was an infuriating chow. Lawmakers, not even lawmakers, the judges and juries nowadays are just so obscure. We're not even being judged by our own peers anymore. That's how bad things are. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.